So, I found some really interesting information on Madeline McCann that I wanted to share with you. First, we're going to jump over to Wikipedia so I can refresh your memory about the case. It reads The Disappearance of Madeline McCann from Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. This article is about the missing persons case. For the Netflix documentary about the case, see The Disappearance of Madeline McCann. Evidently, that's on Netflix and you can check it out. Madeline Beth McCann, born May 12, 2003, is a British missing person who, at the age of 3, disappeared from her bed in a holiday apartment in Praia da Luz, Lagos, Portugal, on the evening of the 3rd of May 2007. The Daily Telegraph described her disappearance as, quote, the most heavily reported missing person case in modern history, unquote. Madeline's whereabouts remain unknown, although German prosecutors believe she is deceased. Madeline was on holiday from the United Kingdom with her parents, Kate and Gary McCann, her 2-year-old twin siblings, and a group of family friends and their children. The McCain children had been left asleep at 8:30 in the ground floor apartment while their parents dined with friends in a restaurant 55 meters or 180 feet away. The parents checked on the children throughout the evening until Kate discovered Madeline was missing at 10 o'clock. Over the following weeks, particularly on the basis of their interpretation of a British DNA analysis, the Portuguese police came to believe that Madeline had died in an accident in the apartment and her parents had covered it up. The McCains were given agrudo or suspect status in September 2007, which was lifted when Portugal's Attorney General archived the case in July 2008 for lack of evidence. Madeline's parents continued the investigation using private detectives until the Metropolitan Police opened its own inquiry, Operation Grange, in 2011. The senior investigating officer announced that he was treating the disappearance as, quote, a criminal act by a stranger, unquote, most likely a planned abduction or burglary gone wrong. In 2013, the Met released e-fit images of men they wanted to trace, including one of a man seen carrying a child toward the beach on the night Madeline vanished. Shortly after this, Portuguese police reopened their inquiry. Operation Grange was scaled back in 2015, but the remaining detectives continued to pursue a small number of inquiries described in April 2017 as significant. In 2020, German authorities declared Christian Bruckner the prime suspect for the abduction and homicide of Madeline McCann, but charges have yet to be formalized. Madeline's disappearance attracted sustained press coverage in both the UK and internationally, reminiscent of the death of Diana, Princess of Wales, in 1997. Her parents were subjected to intense scrutiny and faced accusations of involvement in the disappearance, particularly in the tabloid press and on Twitter. In 2008, they and their traveling companions received damages and apologies from Express newspapers as a result of false allegations of their involvement in Madeline's death. In 2011, the McCains testified before the Leveson inquiry into British press misconduct, lending support to those arguing for tighter press regulation. McCain was born in Leicester and lived with her family in Rothley, Leicestershire. I apologize if I enunciated that wrong. I have no idea how to say it. At her parents' request, she was made ward of the court in England shortly after the disappearance, which gave the court statutory powers to act on her behalf. Police described Madeline as blonde-haired with blue-green eyes, a small brown spot on her left calf, and distinctive dark strip on the iris of her right eye. In 2009, the McCains released age-progressed images of how she may have looked at age 6, and in 2012, the Metropolitan Police commissioned one of her at age 9. Kate and Gary McCann. Madeline's parents are both physicians and practicing Roman Catholics. Kate Marie McCann, born 1968, attended All Saints School in Anfield, then Notre Dame High School in Everton Valley, graduating in 1992 with a degree in medicine from the University of Dundee. She moved briefly into obstetrics and gynecology, then anesthetics, and later general practice. Gerald Patrick McCain, born 1968 in Glasgow, attended Holyrood Secondary School before graduating from the University of Glasgow with a bachelor's in psychology and sports science in 1989. In 1992, he qualified in medicine and in 2002 obtained his medical degree also from Glasgow. Since 2005, he has been a consultant cardiologist at Glenfield Hospital in Leicester. The McCanns met in 1993 in Glasgow and were married in 1998. Madeline was born in 2003 and the twins, a boy and a girl, in 2005. This is Madeline. That is what she looked like when she disappeared, and this is an age progressed photo. That is what the man looked like carrying the child toward the beach that we just read about. That is a sketch of the suspect. That is the resort they were staying at. This is a memorial for Madeline. Another bird's eye view of the resort. So we've got the idea. If you would like to continue reading that, I will link it in the description. Now let's get to the new information. This article was released an hour ago. It is from news.com.au and it reads, Bone and clothing fragments reportedly sent to forensics in search for Madeline McCann. Police involved in the latest hunt for Madeline McCann have sent bone and clothing fragments uncovered in Portugal for testing.
Well, a new search operation to find Madeline McCann near where she disappeared 18 years ago is ongoing. Investigators are focusing on an area between a resort in Portugal and one of the houses of the suspect, Christian Bruckner.
Shifting rubble, cutting through dense shrubland, the search is well underway. They are looking for any clues that lead to Madeline McCann's whereabouts.
Well, this is one of 3 of the derelict farm buildings which we've seen police searching on day 2. They've been emptying buckets of rubble from inside the buildings and they've been using chainsaws in dense undergrowth as well.
With the rubble cleared, there are reports ground-penetrating radar will scan these floors. But 18 years on from when she went missing, police won't comment on just what intelligence has brought them back.
This is the sort of shrubland that they'll be searching while they conduct their investigation into the disappearance and, they're also saying, the murder of Madeline McCann. You can see a couple of police forensic tents just further away.
Police involved in the latest search for Madeline McCann have sent bone and clothing fragments uncovered in Portugal for testing, reports in Germany claim. The 3-day search had widely been labeled a flop after authorities appeared to leave the site next to Praia da Luz empty-handed last week, the Sun reports. But eagle-eyed police did find tiny fragments, which they are speculating could have links to Maddie after prime suspect Christian Bruckner, 38, camped at the site. The samples have now been sent to Germany for testing amid hopes they could finally reveal the forensic link cops are missing on the case. There is Madeline, who disappeared on May 3rd, 2007, that we were just reading about. And you can see how her iris right there has the brown mark, so she was very easily identifiable by her eyes. And this is Mr. Christian Bruckner, a convicted German rapist. Police are understood to have found clothing and animal bones during the extensive search through an area known as Bruckner's, quote, rat run, unquote. Without evidence pinning it to the convicted German rapist, prosecutors risk not being able to get the arrest warrant they need to keep Bruckner behind bars. The claims were made in the Berlin Morning Post. Quote, several objects have apparently been discovered, which are now being examined in more detail by the police and the laboratory, unquote, a source said. Quote, as Portuguese media report, clothing, debris, and bones were found among other things, unquote. Quote, the investigators have not officially commented on whether the finds could have anything to do with Madeline's disappearance, but that is clearly the hope. There is a picture of the police investigating the area and searching. Under the photo, it reads, police investigators search an area during an operation in the investigation into the disappearance of Madeline McCann at Lagos in Algarve on June 5th. The picture here reads, the search took place around an area of scrubland near where the McCann family stayed in 2007. And there is a photo of the police searching the area. The search took place around an area of scrubland which is located close to where the British toddler was staying with her parents back in 2007. The little girl was aged just 3 when she vanished and has never been found despite extensive searches. German and Portuguese police used JCB-type machines and ground-penetrating radar but found, quote, nothing of consequence, unquote. It was reported that animal bones and adult clothing were the only things unearthed, but no traces could be linked to Maddie. This quickly dashed hopes of pinning Bruckner with fresh DNA evidence until the latest developments today. There's a picture of Madeline again. Look at that baby. She's so happy and cute. So sad. And it reads underneath, Maddie disappeared aged 3 and has never been found despite extensive searches. This picture under it reads Bruckner at his February 2024 trial for unrelated SMEX crimes. And there's a close-up of this monster. It comes as The Sun uncovered new Maddie evidence in a bombshell documentary. Quote, Madeline McCann inside the secret evidence. The world-exclusive doc lifted the lid on gripping new information and reveals why Bruckner is the prime suspect. The Sun's investigation unveiled the horrors found at his abandoned factory lair and his obsession with small children. The dossier of overwhelming circumstantial evidence includes exclusive images of kids' swimming costumes, a toddler's bike, and toys found at Bruckner's property. The documentary also revealed how police found a mask, firearms, and child kidnap stories where Bruckner described using kidnap chemical ether to take a mom and toddler outside a preschool. The documentary on the police file represents the biggest leap forward in the understanding of the case since German police revealed Bruckner as a suspect in 2020. Now, Bruckner has also made headlines. So check this out. This is from GBN, and the article reads, Madeline McCann's suspect makes sick taunt in letter about police investigation. Quote, will hit the world like a bomb, unquote. It reads, Madeline McCann's primary suspect has made a sick taunt in a letter about the police investigation into the British 3-year-old's disappearance. Christian Bruckner, age 48, boasted that police didn't have evidence to pin allegations against him as the German who was convicted of rape in 2019 is set to be released from prison in September. He gloated about how the dropping of the probe, quote, will hit the world like a bomb, unquote. In the newly unearthed letter written from his prison cell, he wrote, quote, is there a body? Question mark. No, 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 unquote. There's Madeline right here, and there's Christian Bruckner. Under the picture, it reads, Madeline McCann's primary suspect has made a sick taunt in a letter about the police investigation into the British 3-year-old's disappearance. The article continues, it comes after German police conclude a 3-day search for forensic evidence in Praia da Luz, Portugal, near the villa where the toddler was staying before she mysteriously disappeared in 2007. The search, which was ultimately unsuccessful, was branded, quote, a waste of time, unquote, by the head of the German force. Rainer Grimm, boss of the BKA, Germany's equivalent of the FBI, appeared to have little confidence in the scrubland search, told a friend who wished him luck. Quote, thanks, we'll need it, unquote. Bruckner, who denies any link to the 18-year-old mystery, insists there is no evidence against him to tie him to the investigation. There's Madeline. She is so pretty, and she was very easily identifiable by this mark right here, this brown in her iris. Under the picture, it reads, Madeline McCann disappeared during a family holiday in 2007. The article continues, quote, in a letter seen by The Sun, he claimed the, quote, important, unquote, and, quote, decisive, unquote, questions about his involvement in Madeline's disappearance have been left unanswered. He questioned if his vehicle was, quote, clearly, unquote, spotted at the time of the crime and if his DNA or, quote, an injured person, unquote, had been found. He added, quote, are there other traces of DNA carriers of the injured party in my possession? Question mark. Photos? Question mark. And not to forget, is there a body / corpse? Question mark. All no, 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 unquote. Bruckner pointed out that under the law, the prosecution would have to prove his guilt rather than prove his innocence, and suggested the investigation, quote, will be dropped, unquote. Here's a picture, and under it reads, Portuguese and German officers packed up their equipment at 5 p.m. on Thursday after scouring the area between the resort and a cottage where Kristen Bruckner lived at the time of Madeline's disappearance in 2007. He wrote, quote, even the slightest doubt leads to an acquittal if there is a court hearing at all, unquote. The SMEX offender also alleged the allegations against him have been built on, quote, purchased witnesses, unquote. Despite his denial, German police are adamant convicted rapist and PDF file Christian Bruckner took part in the disappearance of the young Briton. The offender became the primary suspect of the case after disturbing clues were discovered at the 48-year-old's abandoned lair in Germany as the probe into Madeline's disappearance intensified in May. Documents, pictures, children's swimming costumes, and toys were reportedly uncovered at a former box-making factory he bought in 2008, a year after the British girl was last seen. And that's all for this article. I hope you found this informative. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. Please don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Bye.